Social economic status, or S.E.S for short, is the social standing that is given to you by society based on your occupation, education, and income. And most of the people dealing with these disadvantages never get the time of day because the people that can make the changes, this doesn't affect them. But I would like to discuss some of these problems to the scope of education. One of the largest problems that we rarely talk about is the lack of resources in the library specifically, and as well as the classroom. Now, most of these under-budgeted schools don't have the money to purchase new books or even relevant books to the age. And the books that are left from damage and theft are usually only a minuscule genre, and it doesn't help a science student to be reading an English textbook. But in the classroom, you also have to think about teachers dealing with 10 microscopes and 43 students, while having to give every student the exact same amount of time and the exact amount of time that it takes to actually do the work. I'm an English ed major, and I understand that this doesn't add up. But another large issue that's rarely talked about is teacher turnover. And to be fair, the teachers from these areas, they deal with more students, more problems, with a lot less resources, and even worse, less pay. So it's hard to blame them, but at the same time, these issues need to be resolved. And what we need is teachers that care and a veteran staff that's going to make sure that every student feels like an individual and not just a grade on a paper. And this can be going as far as to say that you care. I'm not saying that every student needs your undivided individual attention, but letting someone know that you care goes so far. I had a friend in high school, and he was one of my best friends. He experienced this disadvantage, and I had no idea at the time that transportation with this was such a huge deal. And he would miss class and days of school, and it was just because he didn't have a way to get there. When my family heard about this and understood his issue, we were able to transport him to school, and his grades rose tremendously, as you would expect. But I mean, helping these students can be just as simple as saying that you care. And some of these students are more difficult to deal with, the ones that you can't reach emotionally. But here's some tips for those as well. Number one is avoiding rigid deadlines. This allows students the time and obligations. This allows students the time to deal with their obligations at home, at work, and anything else they need to be at. The second one is don't lower grades for things that are non-academic. This means handwriting, absences that can't be controlled, and even late work if there's a valid excuse. The third is give chances for extra credit. My personal suggestion would be at the end of test, allowing them to list material that was covered in the unit that was not covered in the test. I feel personally that this would end the ideology that you've studied as hard as you can and it still wasn't good enough. And the tip that was voted most useful on Mental Health America Today was to put a game in your class. And it's just to engage students who have a hard time focusing. But sometimes the difference between a student in this position succeeding and failing can be as simple as turning a lesson into a game. Other times it requires more personal care. But success is available to every student, regardless of class, race, or background, as long as we give them the tools they need to do it and allow them the opportunities to succeed and grow.